Oh God.
This happened when I was a kid. I was in the 5th grade and my friend, let's call him Ethan, invited me over to his place. He lived right by the ocean, and if you walked through the forest for half a mile, you'd reach a nice beach with a diving board. When I got to his house, we hung out, played video games, and talked. You know, typical kid stuff. Then we decided to go to the beach. It wasn't too far away and we knew we could get back in time for dinner, so we set off. To make the trip more adventurous, we decided to bushwhack our own path. After walking a couple of minutes, we hit a tall fence. "Crap," Ethan exclaimed. "Well, I guess we'll have to go back." Suddenly, out of the corner of my eye, I spotted something. The fence went about 8 meters long and then stopped. My jaw dropped. There was a house. It was an old cabin with boarded up windows. The planks were falling off and you could see the old insulation underneath. It was gray in color and had flecks of blue paint. The fence led up to the side of the house, stopped, and then continued on the other side. What scared me the most was that there was no road. I mean, not even a clearing to get to the road. You'd have to walk 20 minutes. "Kevin, come on!" Ethan yelled from behind me.
No, he's not
"Look
going
at this,"
to
I
that.
shouted back. Ethan walked up to me and his jaw dropped. There was no door, just a frame, and peering through the frame we could see that there was a back door, also with no frame.
What?
All we had to do was walk through the house, then we could get to the beach. I looked at Ethan. "Should we do it?" I asked him. He shrugged. "I don't see why not," he responded. Inside the house was dark, despite the sunlight pouring in through the door. We advanced slowly through the house, and Ethan pointed to the door. As we reached the door, I peered up the stairs. I grabbed Ethan and shoved him out the door. "What was it?" he said as soon as we got away. My whole body shook. I must be going mad, I thought to myself. Eventually, I explained it to him. As we reached the door, I wanted to take one last look at the house. I glanced up the stairs and I saw the shadowy outline of a person.
Oh, hell no!
All I could see were eyes staring back at me and a crooked grin. Ethan and I took another route back home, and we told Ethan's mom. She laughed at us and said she'd been that way many times and there was no house. And we were angry because she didn't believe us, so we got out our cameras and went back the next day. When we got there was no house. It was just gone. No clearing, nothing. To this day, Ethan and I still wonder what it was. Was that man just a homeless person, or maybe he was something much, much worse? I suggested to Ethan a theory that scares me to this day. I had been reading about Russian folklore, and a page caught my attention. It was a story about a witch named Baba Yaga who had a moving house. She would eat naughty children, and parents used to use it to scare children. Was this a witch? I guess we'll never know for sure.
I have something to say.
Thank you for this amazingness. Oh my god. Okay, pause. What the hell was this? What? I need to put on the chat here because then I feel like it will be better. Somebody sees you guys' reactions. So give me a second. I'm gonna put the chat box in here. This is literally like true stories. They're animated, but they're true stories. So I don't know what to think about it. I'm on stream. What the hell? So they went to a house and it was literally just somebody in there, and then the house was not anymore there. Okay, it sounded creepy. It will be, I'm sorry, but this will be really, really one of the creepiest things. It's not creepy. Okay, we're going to the next one. Let's go. Let me interact first. Let's go. Hide and seek?
I was in my early teenage years during this time. My family and I went on vacation in a village which had a forest rumored to be haunted. There was a cemetery in the forest. It was a little far away from the village, near a lake. We weren't actually supposed to go to that forest, but my cousins thought it would be fun to play hide and seek at night. We were given some rules. We weren't allowed to take our phones or flashlights with us. As planned, we all met in front of our farmhouse at midnight. Me and my younger sister, who was 7 years old at that time, were the youngest out of everyone. So my older cousin decided to help us hide. He was 22 at that time, and he wanted to make sure we didn't get lost. After we chose who was going to be the seeker, we parted ways, trying to find the best hiding spot. My older cousin just wanted to win, so he took us to the cemetery. He said, she'll obviously be too afraid
Why
to
will
enter
people
the
go to
cemetery.
the cemetery?
I think this will be a best hiding spot for us.
Oh my god.
Although
Kids
my
though.
younger sister kept telling us not to go there, we shut her off, telling her she was just a kid and would make us get caught. To this day, we wish we would have listened to her. It was getting darker. It was almost 2 a.m. Then all of a sudden, the cemetery lights went out. My sister's hand tightened around my hand. My cousin was obviously scared too. We could only hear the sound of wind and stray dogs barking at the backside of the cemetery. But then, we heard digging noises.
What?
I still remember that horrifying sound. At a distance, we could see an old man with ruffled hair and dirty clothes, digging a grave with his bare hands. He was making hissing noises while he dug. All of us stood there, frozen. We didn't know if we should scream or run away.
What the hell?
My cousin held our hands and started to slowly lead us to the entrance, trying not to make any noise. He whispered, "We have to get out of here." My sister was almost on the verge of crying. But to ruin everything, I stepped on a broken branch, making a loud noise.
Oh my god, why did he
The
do that?
stranger shot up his head toward our direction, and his lips curved in a creepy smile. "Run!" my cousin yelled, quickly picking up my sister and running away as I followed closely behind them. Thankfully, the man was weak and couldn't run any faster. He stopped at the middle of the cemetery staring at us with his hazel eyes. A few days later, we found out that the man had been caught by the police. He was a criminal who dug up dead bodies, stored drugs in them, and sent them off to other nations to sell drugs. He was caught once, but successfully escaped. If he wasn't so old and weak, I'm afraid that we might have ended up being a couple of dead bodies, too.
Wait, what?
Hi, my name is Alyssa, and I'm 15. A few months ago, something strange happened to me. To this day, I can't explain exactly what happened. I was relaxing at my house, doing some schoolwork on my laptop. Being home alone never bothered me until then. After about 2 hours of being alone, I decided to go get some ice cream from the freezer. As I headed back with ice cream to my room, I heard someone bang on the front door. I never answer the doors, and I always make sure they're locked when my parents leave. I decided it was the mailman, and that he would set the package down and leave. Then I heard the bang again, but louder. I was confused, so I went to my dad's office since it had a window facing the front porch. The second I grabbed the door handle of his office, my parents' bedroom door slammed shut right next to me. I screamed. Our air conditioning was
so
broken at
mean.
the time, so there was no way it could have been the air. I looked at the door, ran to the other side of the house, and called my mom to see if she was expecting anyone over. "No, Alyssa," she said. And those 2 words made my heart beat faster than it ever has.
This is like
My phone
all
was
of my
connected,
nightmares
and I
when I
started
was
hearing
young.
footsteps coming towards me from down the hallway. I
What?
ran and hid behind a door in our living room. I knew I'd be out of sight, since I used to hide there as a child. I called my close friend Emily, who always knew how to calm me down in crazy situations. She told me to go and lock myself in my room. As she was talking, I started to hear doors open and slam shut along with footsteps, and the voice of a little girl saying, "I'm going to find you," over knocked over. I started crying, and when the noise stopped, I ran to my bedroom door. When I grabbed the handle and was about to go in, I heard it again. The little girl was in my room and said, "Come here, Alyssa. I want to play. Come
See?
here."
Hell
I ran
no,
to
I
the
would
guest
already run
bathroom
out of
and
the
locked
house.
myself in. I started to hear knocking on the bathroom door and the voice,
Why is she
"Don't
not
you want to
running
play,
outside?
Alyssa? We could have a lot of fun." I started screaming back, "Hell no, just leave me alone." She started laughing. The knocking and laughter grew louder and louder, and then it started sounding like that thing, started to walk away, still laughing and knocking. Then I couldn't hear it anymore. My grandpa came into the house yelling, "Alyssa, it's Grandpa. You can come out, you're safe." I ran as fast as I could to my grandpa. Later on, I found out that after my phone cut out on my mom, she sent my grandpa to check on me. Once I told my grandpa that a little girl had gotten into the house, we went around the house searching for her, but we never found anything. All the windows and the doors were locked. The garage was closed up tight, and nothing was broken into. I hate being home alone now, and being in my room, but I've learned to deal.
What the hell was that?
Waarin je leeft.
That is some creepy stuff.
Soms zit je er lekker in.
Okay, pause. This is creepy. I cannot sleep tonight. Thank you for the biddies, Christine. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Holy! Okay, this is literally the real stories. They say it's real stories, but it sounded so creepy. Definitely, the second one I thought it was the most creepiest because the guy was like digging the holes, and he was literally one of those people that got caught, and he was like putting drugs in dead bodies. I think that went just too far. When I was young, the third one was like. But why was she not run out of the house? Why is she staying in the house? When you hear some noises like that, you really stay in that freaking house? Like, who does that? Who does that? Who is gonna stay in the house? I'm just saying, who's gonna stay in the house? So let's go to the next chapter, guys. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
When I was about 9 years old, I was in my swimsuit, ready to go to swimming lessons. My brother and I had made a pillow fort, and it was still there from the night before. I had crawled underneath the coffee table, where a blanket went over it, blocking out the outside world. I have no idea why I stuck my foot outside of the blanket, but I did. A dark black sock crawled creepily towards my foot and slowly slid over it. The sock was cold, and I felt odd.
What?
I recognized the sock.
I'm
It
done.
looked just like the one my mom had. I called out my mom's name and my brother's name, but there was no response, only silence. I walked to the window, but when I looked out, there was nothing out of the ordinary. I saw my cat staring at me with a weird look on her face. Then,
I'm
I
done.
was horrified when I heard the shower running
cat.
upstairs. My mom was still in the shower, and my dad was at work. I ran up the stairs to find my brother spinning on the chair in my parents' room. I asked him if he went downstairs, and he told me it had nothing to do with the situation. I told my mom what had happened, but she didn't believe me. She said that I was probably hallucinating and that it was just the cat. But I know what I saw,
Why does the
and the look on my cat's face
Saving
is still
me.
fresh in my memory.
Sell the cat. Throw it out the window. I'm done. No, don't do anything, please.
Hey, I just couldn't.
Stop. I Who would freaking have the cat in the house when he has some look on his face? Why would you keep a cat that looks like that? I'm sorry, nothing bad about a cat, but I will take him and just literally just sell the cat. Creepy ass cat, I'm done. Give me
Create a
some, I need to
professional
go
Wix site
and
for my
actually-
business. Let's check it out. Go to Wix.com.
I need to check out. We gotta do September 2019. It's a new one. Should we do the couplet? That's like the recent one. I'm actually going to be scared tonight, guys. I'm not gonna lie. This is not cool. Like, this song was actually the stupidest one I've ever heard. Like, what is so terrifying about a wet freaking sock? I don't know what it is. Even though the cat was freaking creepy as hell, I wouldn't even freaking go with the cat. But that was not even creepy at all. So let's do the complication of September 2019. Let's go. Oh my god.
I'm 24, and this happened 5 years ago when I was 19. I was conducting an online transaction on a site called Alks, which is similar to Craigslist. It's an online app where you can see items being sold by random strangers, and all you have to do is make a call and meet up. I was looking for a cheap sweater for my trip to Japan the following week. After several minutes of scrolling, I came across an ad with exactly what I was looking for. A Korean-style female fur sweater for just 300 pesos, about $6.
$6? Hey, cheap.
I had issue with it.
Let's go,
The payment
girl.
point was at the LRT
Gotcha.
train station at 8 p.m. because the seller was too busy at work. I decided, what the heck?
Who's
It's a
gonna
public place
freaking
anyway.
go to a
I
seller?
called the owner and we had a quick convo. He sounded like a strict guy, but I asked him when we could meet up. He responded, tonight at 8 p.m. sharp. I said sure.
Tonight at 8
But
p.m.
this
you gotta
recklessness of
go?
mine is
I'm
what I
done.
regret the most.
That
I
girl
arrived
is
at the meeting
crazy.
place at 7:58 p.m. It was really empty, and I was sure I was the only person in the station. It was a cold night in November, and I eagerly awaited warming myself with my coat.
Wait, what?
Honestly, I'm the kind of girl who's comfortable wearing a sweater even when it's hot. I was sitting on a bench when the clock ticked 8 o'clock, when suddenly someone covered half of my face with a scarf with a really strange scent. I
What?
fell unconscious. As I woke up, I found myself in a van with 4 guys.
I
my wrist
told you not
handcuffed
to
behind
go
my
at
back.
8 p.m.
I asked the man what they wanted.
For
to please
$6
let me
you're
go.
gonna risk your life?
Tears began to fall from my eyes. But then, one of the guys touched my face and said, "It's our first time ever tasting a beautiful girl like you."
What?
I kept on crying and shouted, "Please, I want to go home, please." The guy next to me choked me, shouting that I needed to shut up. I tried to resist, but my eyes started to roll back in my head. He stopped, but it was taking a long time for me to catch my breath. I looked out the window and saw a checkpoint lane. For the first time in my life, I was so glad that the authorities had permission to check the van. But the guy next to me reached for a gun, a really big gun.
Wait.
Knowing this was my only chance, I found the strength to shout and cried out, "Officer, please help! They have a gun!" The 2 officers immediately grabbed their guns, one shooting at the tires, the other aiming for the man next to me. The officer shot him in the head. I never thought I'd witness such a thing in my life. One of the officers carried me out of the van, and I passed out moments later. I woke up the next day in a hospital bed. My parents were there, crying and asking me what happened. I told them the truth, that I was buying a sweater online. But I suddenly snapped, I cried and cried, saying, "Please help, please help." Since then, I've had to go to a psychiatrist to recover from mental instability and anxiety, and it should go without saying,
I'm so confused.
but I never ever want to buy anything online ever again.
Okay, wait. Why the hell would you buy a freaking sweater from $6 at 8 p.m.? Who does that? Like going with a seller, talking with him, and then waiting on a train station. Why not waiting somewhere where there's crowded people, like a snack bar or something? No, this girl is going to the train station when there's nobody there and wants to buy a sweater. I'm done. I'm so done. She's cheap anyway. We're gonna buy a budget $6 thing. Okay, it looks good. But still, nobody's gonna risk their lives for a $6 budget thingy. Get out of here. What the hell? People weird. It doesn't show the mess, so it's like AAA with the action stream. Okay, got you. So I need to like to put this away, Ace? So I should put the chat away, Ace? I'm gonna remove the chat box then. I don't know why the chat overlay is bad. Is it just the delay on it, or what is bad about it? Because I don't know what you mean with it's bad. What is bad? Is the delay bad, or is the chat box bad? Like the direction where it stands? Ace is always saying it's bad, but he doesn't like explain why it's bad. Oh god. Okay, got you. Can somebody talk? The down right side or this right side? I think it's better to do this, right? Okay, thank you. We're doing it like this then. Okay, we're going to the next story. Why am I the only one creeped out about it? And why are you guys so chill about this whole thing? Okay, got you. Hi, Saucy. Okay, we're going to the next one. Are you guys ready? I'm so not ready for this. Oh, I need to interact again. Give me a second, guys.
When I was 7 or 8 years old, my parents used to take me to this beach cafe in our town. It had a pool and the cafe was right next to the beach. The family that owned the cafe were my family's close friends, so I spent a lot of my childhood there. The best part about the beach is that when you pass the cafe and the playground, there was a lot of sand and a net for volleyball. As kids, my friends and I would always play there. One ordinary summer night, there was quite a few of us playing in the sand, making castles and doing other things. All of a sudden, I heard a noise behind me in the bushes, right where the sand ended. I should mention that there were woods around the whole place, but it wasn't deep or anything. I was a brave kid, so I just brushed it off as being a cat or animal of some sort, and continued to play. However, when I looked up at my friends who were now quiet and staying still, I got the chills. I noticed that all of their eyes had widened. They were staring at me, or rather at whatever was behind me. The shock kicked in, and I felt like I was going to faint. I started shaking. I didn't even want to turn around. But when I felt something cold on the back of my neck, that was the last straw. I started running full speed towards the cafe filled with people, and my friends immediately followed behind me. There were 6 children crying and screaming at the top of our lungs. I remember finally clinging to my mom and crying in her arms. Soon after, the sound of sirens followed by police cars parked in front filled the air. When the adults talked to the police, my friends and I were confused. I still didn't know what was behind me, so I asked my oldest friend in the group, who was 10 years old and talking to his dad. It turns out that there was this crazy old guy who robbed a lady and stabbed her to death not so far away from here. My friends told me he appeared behind me smiling like a sick clown. He was holding a knife and pressing it against the back of my neck.
That's so creepy!
And that must have been the cold thing I felt. From then on, I never stayed far away from the cafe when the sun went down. And thankfully, they caught the guy.
That is so creepy. I'm done!
This happened a little over 20 years ago. I was 10 years old and my sister was 6. We grew up in a small town, raised only by our hardworking mother. It started when school was nearly finished for the year. The nights were late because my sister was up all night crying about a witch. Anyway, my mother started receiving odd calls once in a while at work.
I need one of your children.
What?
Mom figures it was some stupid prank and ignored it.
I need one of your children?
But
That
then
is so
she
dumb.
started
I'm
receiving
done.
calls daily.
I would move.
Eventually, she was receiving a call most nights at our home. She reported it to the police, and they said whoever was calling was using random payphones. There wasn't much they could do about it.
She has a
So she
stalker
had both
now?
her work and home number changed. One night around 10 or so, there was a frantic knock on her door.
Oh, hell
Mom
no!
looked out
Don't
through
open
the
the
window
door!
and saw a lady with long hair in her 60s. Not knowing her, Mom went near the locked door and asked what she wanted. The lady asked if she could come inside because she was in a car accident. Mom said she would call the police for her and told her to wait outside. There was a pause.
This mom is dope.
No, don't call the cops.
Mom thought this was strange and started walking to the phone. Immediately again, a banging on the door. Mom ran to the phone and looked out the
This
window
is
to see the
creepy.
lady
I'm not gonna
staring
sleep
at
till-
her.
Oh my god!
She coldly said,
Dorothy Margaret, I want one of your children.
I want one of your children.
Dorothy Margaret, I want one of your children.
She kept repeating it until Mom noticed flashing lights of police approaching, and she left. The police searched everywhere and kept a car outside each night for a week. Nothing.
I'm so scared now.
A few weeks later, summer finally started and my sister wasn't having the nightmares anymore about the witch. We were at one of my baseball games and my mother was talking to a teacher at my sister's school and telling her what happened. The teacher said,
Oh, it sounds like your stepmother.
Mom looked back confused and said she doesn't have a stepmother. The teacher's face turned white. A while ago, a lady in her 60s would come watch the children play at lunch.
Oh
She
my
said
god.
she was my mother's stepmom and liked to watch my sister at lunch. She reported it again to the police and they checked camera footage. Sure enough, on a faraway park bench, there was an old lady most lunchtimes. They noticed she was always coming from the woods, so the police did a search and found an old shanty shack type of place. It had old blankets and a fire pit, and it had pictures she had drawn of us. That was the last time we ever heard of her. When summer was ending, my sister started having the nightmares of the witch again. Mom asked why she was getting scared again, and she said,
"Because she comes to school and watches us."
The witch was the old lady.
I met a terrible creep.
Okay, give
at a
me a
McDonald's
bit of a...
restaurant.
No.
I was running errands with my husband one day when I was 6 months
Wait!
pregnant. The
Okay, this one was scary. I'm not gonna sleep tonight. That was some creepy stuff. Holy shit. My head is hurting. I'm done. That is so creepy. Can you imagine having an old freaking lady watching you while you've been playing? She has like a portrait of you in her creepy ass house. I'm done. This is creepy. I'm not overreacting. I'm scared. This is not even an overreacting stuff. So, but that will be cool. Yeah, but so you guys want to do a rating? It was just a big fan of hers. No, that is some creepy stuff. You imagine you as a kid going to what do you find? Good or doo-doo? Oh, I thought it was an 8. For me, it was an 8. This whole story was an 8, definitely. It was one of the creepiest I've seen so far in this story thingy. And I've seen not a lot of them, to be honest. I've been watching it today. But it's creepy. It's really creepy, this one. I'm done. Like having an old lady watching you, calling you, I want one of your kids. Nah, I'm good. That just creeps me out. Just creeps me out. This was a solid 7.5. Hey! Why have I still have the tea? It's not even tea anymore, it's just jellies in there. Let me drink some water before we start the other one. I thought the one with I thought the other one with the girl, they're going to buy something online. That one was also really, really scary. Imagine you sitting on a train station and watching. Nah, I'm gone. The train station was also really, really, really good. That was a solid 7 as well. So let's start with the other one, guys. Okay, let's go.
The day started out normal as we took the subway together. All of a sudden, I felt nauseous and I could feel that I had to vomit immediately. I quickly gave my bag to my husband and told him I had to run to the nearest bathroom. I bolted away at the next stop as I could not hold it in any longer. As I exited the underground, I ran into the nearest restaurant, a McDonald's. I hurried to the bathroom, where I passed a middle-aged man who was standing at the entrance of the bathroom. I paid no attention and pushed past him to get in. As I finally arrived to the bathroom, I immediately started puking. I never felt so sick my entire life. That's when the door handle of the bathroom started moving. I quickly pushed the door to keep it closed and yelled that it was busy, but the person on the other side pushed it back. As that person managed to push harder, I saw the guy that was at the entrance. He had curly hair. I freaked out and slammed the door shut and started yelling for help. The man was insistent and kept trying to get in. I started puking again, so I was left with trying to hold the door with my foot as he kept banging it harder
she's
and
pregnant.
harder.
That's why she's
I continued
puking.
yelling
I
in the
don't
direction of the
understand
window of the stall as I heard people saying that there was a girl who needed help. Suddenly, the guy stopped banging the door and everything got quiet. I tried to calm myself down while still holding the door shut just in case. Then I saw curly hair and a hand trying to get me from under the door, which had a pretty large gap. I started screaming again as I started kicking his face. At this point, I was desperate. I had no phone, no bag, and my husband was probably roaming the city looking for me. Then I heard a man yell, and the creep suddenly getting away quickly. I kept the door shut when I heard a male voice telling me to come out and that it was okay. I reluctantly opened the door to find the manager of the McDonald's confused and shocked. I told him what happened and he called the police. With all the commotion, my husband finally found me. When the police arrived, I gave the police a description, but they never found the guy.
Okay.
It was the summer before 9th grade.
That one was actually whack. I'm so sorry, but what was so scary about that smell and a person that wants to go in the toilet with you? Hi, Gloman. What's up, cheese? The chicken nuggets were sold out. I don't know what that man's problem was, but I think that man was like literally just on drugs or something. Like that man had some issues, but just it wasn't that creepy like the other stories. I'm sorry. That story was literally just funny. Yeah, it was funny, right? Hey, how are you? I'm doing pretty good. How are you? It was a funny story. So let's go to... Did I just freaking... I give it a 6. I give it a 4. Give me a second. Oh, okay. A 6? Okay. I think this one was literally a 4 for me. Like what is so cool? I didn't know. It's not even what is so cool, but what is so scary about a person who wants to go into the toilet. I think it happens a lot of times, this kind of stories. It's not really a unique horror story or something, that happened to you. So yeah, it's like a 4. So let's go to the new one, guys.
I was at my friend's family pool party, and there were tons of people there. At one point, while my friend, let's call her Lily, went to get some sodas for us, a man came up to me. I didn't recognize him, but since it was my friend's party, it made sense for me to not know everyone there. He smiled at me. He looked as though he hadn't shaved in days, and his eyes never looked quite directly at me. I stepped backwards, feeling uncomfortable. "Hello," he said. Hi," I replied. "What's your name?" he asked. I suppose that a first name wouldn't hurt, since we were surrounded by lots of people and spectacular.
Right!
Really, I said. "What's yours?"
Thank you for the song. We couldn't hear the whole story anymore. And you watched it? I did yesterday. I have regrets, to be honest. Thank you so much for the awesome 8 months, though. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Okay, we're going into the story. I just put it a bit like back because of his Okay, we're going here and actually start it again because I couldn't hear the most of it. Thanks, Spuhana, for the 8 months. You're awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, this scare view of Cranky. I don't know, it's animated, okay? Let's go.
Hello, he said. Hi, I replied. What's your name? He asked. I supposed that a first name wouldn't hurt, seeing as we were surrounded by tons of people in my friend's backyard. I'm Carly, I said. What's yours? Rick, he replied smoothly. Are you having fun with Lily? Some of my discomfort eased. I'm her parents' friend, he continued, stepping closer to my face. His eyes weren't focused, and his breath smelled like alcohol.
Ew, he was just drunk.
I grew even more uncomfortable and stepped away, waving goodbye awkwardly. When I turned around, he was gone. I told Lily about this, and she mentioned it to her parents. Her parents said that they didn't know Rick, which kind of freaked me out. But they told me that it could have been one of their friends who brought him over. So I shrugged it off and assumed everything was fine. After the party ended, Lily and I were having a sleepover at her house. Her parents had gone over to visit her elder sister to take some leftovers to her, since she had not been feeling well and couldn't attend the party. So we were home alone with her elder brother. Lily and I were playing a game in her bedroom when her dad
playing
called her.
games.
He asked her to please go and turn off the pool lights, since he had forgotten. Lily agreed, and we stepped outside into the backyard.
Oh, hell no.
I waited on the back porch, reading a text from another friend, while she went to turn off the lights. Once she was finished, we stepped back inside, locking the door, and went back upstairs to continue playing our game. At one point, Lily asked me to make sure the curtains were closed properly, and when I did, I happened to look outside, and I noticed that all the pool lights were on again. Lily?
Wait.
I asked, getting a strange feeling. You turned off the pool lights, right? Yeah, I did, she replied, coming to look. Now there was a figure swimming laps in the pool, even though we couldn't see his face. It's probably just Cody, Lily replied, speaking of her brother. Come on, let's go scare him.
Then it was that older man, right?
We opened the back door. Waiting behind the bushes, we could see the top of his head bobbing in the water. We were going to jump out and scare him at any moment. Then I looked up at one of the windows of the house. The curtains were open. Suddenly, I saw the face of Cody illuminated as he turned on his bedroom lights. I grasped Lily's arm, and we both knew the person in the pool was not, in fact, Cody. We hadn't brought our phones with us in case we would get wet, and if we ran back around, there was a chance the stranger could see us before we got back to the house. We tried to wave to Cody, but he couldn't see us.
Dang.
Suddenly, splashing in the pool stopped. My heart dropped and I could hear each of my panicked heartbeats. A hand suddenly gripped my arm and flung me forward, and I screamed, and Lily did as well. I looked up, and there was Rick.
Exactly, Rick, right?
I'd never seen someone with such a creepy smile. I yelled, and soon my mouth was filled with water as he chucked me in the pool, and he actually held me underwater. I choked for breath, and realized he had grabbed Lily's arm as well, although she wasn't in the water. He was strong and clearly ill. He yelled, "Time to swim!" Somehow Lily managed to kick him in the face hard enough to run away, slamming the door behind her. He continued to hold me, laughing as I flailed for breath. Just as I felt I was about to die, police sirens were heard at the surface. He picked me up and threw me on the ground, breaking my arm. He ran away. The police came and questioned me, but he was never found. I will never forget that moment. I thought I was truly going to die. Nor will I forget those creepy, unfocused eyes. From then on, I've been terrified to be outside at night, especially in a pool.
Wait. I'm so confused. What was that Rick person? Where did he came from? What was he doing there? And why at night would they go in a pool or go near a pool and think it's funny? It's too late to right, Noir. And also, why wouldn't your friend save you? She went all the way back inside. 9, I'm scared. You're scared. I'm not gonna sleep tonight. I'm seriously scared. You know, I'm really a scary kid. I cannot deal with scary stories, and definitely when they're real and I know they're real and it's creeping me out. Exactly. This is not like about a ghost, right? Like the first one with that the freaking house was gone and stuff like that. That was creepy as hell. But this is like we already know Rick wasn't a normal dude. He was literally on drugs or there was something wrong with that dude. That dude had some issues. I'm telling you already. When you saw Rick, you already knew that there is nothing gonna be good out of him. So why are people actually going into I don't know. I would run to the door, to the house. Why are they standing there? Like, I don't care if you see us running to the house. Like, nobody cares. Just run. Don't look back, run. Because that is in the pool. You're out. You're not in the pool. You're out of the pool. So you can run to the door. And then the dude is in the pool. He has to just swim first. So what is the point? Just go. I'm so done with these people. I'm done. I'm so done. So that was literally just a 7 for me. It was okay. It was not that scary. It was okay. It could be better, you know? It could be better. Looks like the majority choice of all girls' boyfriend. What? What is it supposed to mean? Hi, just Asha. Okay, we're going to the next one. Oh God. How long is this? He wanted to die. I don't think he wanted to die. I think she wanted to die. Thank you for the 1 bit, Christian. Ewoke or something. I hope I said it right. Thank you so much for the awesome bits. I appreciate you though. I see the bits, but whenever we're in the story, I just don't want to talk about the bits and because it just the story itself is already like we need to listen to it and stuff like that. So I don't want people to to feel some kind of way or don't hear this story at all. So let's go into the true terrifying almost murdered. Oof, that doesn't sound good though. Well, let's go.
I was driving home from work one night around 9 p.m. midweek, so the roads were quiet. As I was driving downhill, I heard a sound that was like a jet engine roaring behind me. The next thing I know, a car goes flying past me going twice the speed limit. It looked like a fairly old and crappy car, and the car started to get the speed wobbles. Then one of the tires came flying off and rolled at high speeds downhill while the car spun out and crashed. I stopped my car to make sure whoever was inside was okay. A guy got out of the car and looked over at me and then started moving extremely quickly towards me.
Okay, that's creepy.
I don't know why, but I hit my internal locks on the car,
Exactly.
which was fortunate. Because no more than 2 seconds later, the guy started grabbing at the driver's side door and smashing on my windscreen with his fists trying to get in. I'll never forget the look he had in his eyes. I put my foot down on the accelerator and drove off back home. I decided to swap cars once I got home and drove back to see what was going on. I saw 2 fire trucks and about 4 police close to where the incident happened. When I got back to the crash site, the guy was no longer there, so I decided to head home. The next day at work, I was online and bored reading the news when I saw an article that shocked me. The article was about a guy who had been in a police chase for 1 hour, and the police stopped chasing him because it was becoming too dangerous. Turns out the guy was high on meth, had stolen a car an hour's drive away, and had been in a hot pursuit since. After crashing the car, the guy apparently crossed to the other side of the road and hailed the first car that appeared, which was a taxi.
Dang, he's like GTA.
He got into the taxi and stole it.
Dang!
In the process, he pushed the driver out of the driver's side door, and the driver got stuck and dragged at speeds. The driver died from the incident. I called the police and had a detective assigned to me. He fingerprint checked my car and got a statement. I had to testify in the Supreme Court as a key witness in a murder trial. The guy got 30 years, and they told me that my testimony was one of the main factors in convicting him. I often think back to that night and wonder if I hadn't locked my doors, would I have been the one who got murdered?
Definitely. That dude wouldn't be here though.
My name is Milo.
Okay, wait. This story is just weird. I'm seriously just, this story is weird. Like, wait. The police stopped chasing him. That was the weirdest stuff. They stopped chasing because it was too dangerous. But why? $4.5. That one was actually, if it's, okay, you need to understand that you need to see it in your own scenario, okay? You driving home from work, and there's literally a person in front of you knocking on the door, and then you drive home, and then later on you see that he was actually a criminal. It creeps you out, you know? Where are the choppers? Exactly. The voice is blank. The cartoon is creepy. I love watching real horror stories and stuff. I know, but I just want to keep it animated today with Twitch and stuff like that. But he drove home, changed car, drove back. That is something I would do. I'm done, just Ash. I'm done. But that was the weirdest story ever. That was just weird. You drive home, just my head is hurting from this story. It's not even creepy. Like, there's no creepiness in this story at all. It's just weird. Okay, let's go to the next one, guys.
I'm 14 years old, but this happened about a year ago. One day, I was having a sleepover with my two best friends, Ben and Michael, to celebrate Ben's birthday. Ben wanted to go camping and have a bonfire, so we all set up our tents for a fun night.
Only people.
When we set everything up, we talked about the usual teenage boy stuff. Sports, cars, and girls.
Of course.
As the
Guys
night
don't talk about
progressed,
anything
Ben
else,
began to tell us
right?
about a man from our town who was on the run from the police. He said that the man lurked around in the darkness and kidnapped teenage boys. He grabs you by the legs and drags you through the forest while looking for more kids to prey on, Ben said. We all burst out with laughter at how ridiculous it sounded. Nothing like that would ever happen in our town, right? At least, that's what we thought. We all started to feel sleepy and decided to call it a night. During the middle of the night, I got out of my tent to use the bathroom on one of the trees nearby. But when I was
To
done,
pee on the
I
tree.
looked back to see a man warming his hands on a fire, and three small, dark figures hid behind him, each looking like
that's
a starved
creepy.
child.
I'm done.
I
That is
screamed
really
in
creepy.
fear,
I'm sorry.
waking my friends who freaked out when they saw him. We sprinted out of the forest to warn people about the man, but nobody in town believed us. When it was light outside the next morning, we went back to the forest to collect our gear and go home. Everything was there, but a note was left on the ground. It read, "Grabs you by the legs and drags you," with a smiley face drawn at the end. we alerted the police and never went back to that forest again.
Okay, why? Okay.
About
Wait. This is definitely some prank, though. Get out of here. This is not real. This is not real. There was definitely somebody listening to those freaking 3 teenagers talking crap about a story, and then this dude was like, let me prank them. Let me put this in. Come on. This is not a real. Come on. It can't be a real story. It looked. It looked like a prank. Something that my brother will do. My brother is that kind of person. Like, he listens to your stories and then he's going to implant it, and then he makes sure that he's gonna scare you with the story. That's like my brother. So I don't think that anybody will. Come on, this is so stupid. Hi, Saucy. It's like, it feels like a prank. Cannot be true. Like, literally, you're just talking about something and then it appears. Come on. Like, my brother would listen to us. Like, if I was camping with my friends, my brother would come in the woods. He's gonna run, and then he's like, okay, let me listen to them. And then he's making all those creepy stories that what we did, he's gonna put it into something that's like around the tent. Like, that's my brother. Like, he's literally just a freaking troll in everything. When I was little, he was always pranking me. So he will do that kind of stuff. No, it seems like a prank to me. Seriously. Like, whoa. Those teenagers, though. Who's coming up with a story and then it comes out? Come on. It's creepy, though, if it was true and it was literally just somebody sitting there and was doing the same thing. But I feel like it was just a prank. Somebody wanted to scare them. I hope so, at least. I hope so. Okay, let's go.
10 years ago when I was 12, I would always go into the nearby woods with my friends for most of the day. One night, we left pretty late. Usually I got home before dark, but today, I knew I wouldn't make it back, and I already knew my parents would be mad at me. We were walking in a group for a few blocks. Then a couple of my friends split from us to go to their house.
Oh, that's
I
creepy,
started to
though.
notice
This is
that a van
creepy.
kept driving past us. I didn't think anything of it. And then my last friend split to go to her house.
Oh, hell no.
I had about 5 to 10 minutes left until mine.
5
Then
to
I
10
see that van
minutes?
again, and it pulled up right beside me and stopped. The driver rolled down the front window. Then she told me that she can't find her son and she's been looking all evening. Then she asked me if I'd seen him. I looked and I said no. Then she asked me if I wanted to get in her van to help find him.
No!
I said no again, and I looked forward. Then she asked me, am I sure? I didn't answer and I started to walk faster. And all of a sudden, there was some guy in her back seat that said, Mr. Fucking Snatcher. I looked at the van for a split second as the woman looked in the back seat and she sped up to park on the side of the street. I started running through yards. I heard the doors open and shut on
That
the
is
van,
creepy.
but I didn't look back until I got home. Nobody followed me. I told my parents and we called the cops. I never missed curfew after that.
Okay, that was freaking creepy. I'm done. That was creepy.
I'm scared of the
That is creepy. I'm so done. I'm not gonna sleep tonight, guys. I'm seriously not gonna sleep. This is like some of them are really creepy and it gives me chills. Or is it just me thinking that? Ugh. Thank you so much for following, Brandon. I appreciate that. Some of them really give me the chills. Like, really. I don't know if you see it, but I don't know if I can see it. Yeah, like the whole story, like I was always scared because I always went to my best friend's houses, and they were like literally not close to me, so I had to always like walk. And there was like like you have like this street here, and then you going towards a thing like a, how can you call that? A freaking pet, another pet. But that pet was like literally in the woods a bit. So everything was really dark. There was nothing, no lights. And every night I had to walk past that while I was thinking about all those horror scenarios. In my head, I was running past it instead of walking. So like these kind of things creeps me out. Like I had to walk like 5 minutes or 10 minutes in those woods. And then I had like the tram station was there. So it was really creepy thinking about it. Like, can you imagine if something happened there? And I was there all the time, every night, most of the time. Creepy. Hi, Oliver. What's up, Blaze? Only you. I swear, it creeps me out. Those kind of things, like people chasing you and creepy noises in the house. Nuh-uh. I'm not having it. So this was a solid 6.5 for me. Like rating. Let's go for a 6.5. That was creepy. Like, why was there somebody in the back of the truck of that woman's? Like, they really wanted to kidnap that kid and just took him with him. It happens a lot though. Ew. Why though? Why are people so creepy lately? Like, can't people just not start acting normal and just go to bed around midnight and like just running around graveyards and creeping people around the window, all that creepy stuff? Get out of here, please. Okay, let's start again. He's afraid of the dark. That was the whole thing. Yes, Brenda, I have Discord. It's beautyxskillz. Afraid of the dark. Let's go.
Dark. And I have a good reason for it.
Oh,
You might
man.
be thinking, so?
This is
Almost
gonna be
everyone is
creepy
scared
one.
of the dark because something happened to them. Well, that is true for me too. Here's my story. About 2 years ago, I ran away from home. I don't know just what I was thinking at the time, but I left with no food, no water, no belongings, and no coat. It was a very rainy day, and I sensed that I should either find shelter or I'd be soaking wet. So I decided to walk to my school and stay there for a few hours to dry off, as I was already wet and cold on a rainy day.
Who's going to school at night?
As I arrived, I laid down my head and quickly fell asleep. And
You
when I
fell
woke
asleep?
up, it was pitch black outside, and I could barely make out anything.
Wait!
I didn't have
who
a
fell
watch or
asleep
anything
at
that tells
school?
the time, so I assumed it was midnight. At least it stopped raining, I thought. I decided to just go back home, as I wasn't far and I was very hungry that time. As I got up, I stopped. There was something in front of me, under a streetlight, about 50 yards away. It was a man about 6 feet tall, and he was wearing a
6
black
feet?
coat with a hoodie
Oh,
over his
hell
face, so
no.
I couldn't see his face. At first, I thought it was my dad who had come to look for me, so I felt relieved. But I didn't want to get into trouble, so I hid in a bush nearby and peeked out. The man was standing there and looked around for what it seemed like a half an hour. Then, under the light of the streetlight, he pulled something out of his pocket. I couldn't make it out at first, but then I realized it was a kitchen knife. Then he started to run toward the bushes. No, towards me.
What?
Exactly.
No,
I
he
grew
didn't.
frightened and sprinted out of the bushes like an arrow. He already knew I was there. I didn't stop running until I got home without ever looking back. So I survived. But to this day, I still wonder what would have happened if I didn't run on that day. Or worse, what would have happened if I didn't wake up at the school? I developed my fear of the dark from this incident. It's so bad that now I have to sleep with a nightlight or the hallway light occasionally. Because I'm afraid that the man whom I saw will kill me or kidnap me someday if I don't turn the light on.
Okay, with this one I have so much questions, guys. Who the hell falls asleep on the school thingy? Why? was he standing there? And why was he already not running when he see the man? I'm done. I thought it was my dad, so I was believed when I went hiding in the bush because I didn't want to be in trouble. Okay, but it's creepy. No. How can you think it's funny? I think it's creepy as hell. I'm alone. I'm home alone. I think everything is creepy. But what is so bad about? But what is so bad about him hiding in the bush? What is so bad about it? I would hide in the bushes. Like, you know, like my dad was the worst though. Like, I would hide in the bushes, see my dad was like, dang, I will get in trouble. I will hide somewhere. So, it's normal, right? Or is it just me thinking that? I would do that. It's creepy though, but still. There's a man in there and then he's hiding in the bush. But why is he running at him with a knife? Makes no sense. It's creepy. I just have been a bit spoiled with these stories. Yeah, me too. But still, this is still creepy. It's still creepy. Like, why the hell would you fall asleep on the school ground there? Like, oh, let me take a nap there. Let me fall asleep. How did that dude fall asleep? Like, that dude looks like a teenager. He feels like, and he was hungry. So, why would you fall asleep when you're hungry anyway? I don't understand. When I'm hungry, I cannot fall asleep. So, let's go to the next one, guys. It makes no sense, this one, at all. But it was creepy, somebody running away with him. Why is he at school at midnight? Because he wanted to take cover for the rain, Christian. He wanted to take cover for the rain, so he was at school. Hey, guys can sleep anywhere. Okay, true story. But why would you be like, let's take a nap at the school thingy? Why? And why was that dude at the school? Also creepy. Okay, this is some creepy. I don't want to think about it too much because I will get nightmares tonight.
This fact happened when I was 15 years old. Beginning of last year, 2018, when I finally got to sophomore year here in Brazil. It was an ordinary Friday night. Suddenly I felt a little bit hungry, so I decided to put on some clothes and go to the snack bar. It was barely 10 minutes from my house. I usually pass through the alley to go to the snack bar, but that time everything was so creepy in there. When I was halfway there, it was dark, empty, abnormally cold and gloomy. I felt slightly intimidated, but there was nothing there that could really harm me. So I decided to just go through that alley. Then I thought, nothing's gonna happen. I kept going until I suddenly heard something weird on the other side of the alley. There was a man in there, staring at the walls in hunchback stance, grunting weirdly. And I found that incredibly creepy, but I was nearly at the snack bar, so all I needed was just to get out of that alley.
Hell no!
Walk 1 minute
Just
more
don't
and I
even walk
finally
past
would
and
get
go
there,
back.
instead
Go back.
of making it all the way home with empty hands. Thus I decided to ignore him and pass through after all. I finally passed through him. He turned to me and stared at me with a creepy smile, which made me walk a little bit faster, trying to avoid him.
Run!
Then, suddenly, I heard a grunt and quick steps behind me. When I looked back, it was him. We were barely 2 feet away from each other. He had a kitchen knife in his right hand and jumped on me with amazing speed and tried to stab me. I managed to grab both of his arms before he could get me. However, since he was charging at me, he still had more energy to push me back and force me against a wall. I was terrified with all of that. I knew I would die if I didn't fight back. Back then, I was already trained in some martial arts to defend myself, but that I thought I'd never need to use that skill to defend my life. Until now. So, in a sudden burst of adrenaline, I managed to twist the wrist which he was holding the knife, kicking his stomach, punching him mercilessly in the face several times. In the end, his face was bleeding so much, but his body was ignoring the pain of the blows in his body and only focusing on killing me. Finally, I used a training that I took before to twist both of his wrists and elbows harshly at the same time, forced in two different directions, and kicked the backside of his leg, putting him to the ground until ultimately he could drop the knife. It wasn't easy because he was struggling and punching my back and somehow trying to jump on me. But since I had his arm under my grasp, he couldn't do much without breaking himself. I slammed his head in the concrete ground, stunning him, then kept striking his face desperately while kneeling over his arm so he wouldn't be able to react or reach his knife again. And finally, he was out cold, bleeding a lot. My knuckles were full of blood and hurt. So I got up, took his knife, throwing it far away from there, and ran away from him. I finally got to the snack bar, washed my hands in there, and did everything I had to do before going back home. But obviously, I didn't take the same path as I did before. But there were things that got much creepier. That was at the entrance of my apartment, where I heard screams coming from the other side of the street. It was the same crazy man. Now, seeming like he was possessed by a demon, and he was slamming his head on the iron door of my building's entrance. His face was horribly deformed and scarred from our fight. That freaked me out completely. My parents were on a trip, and the watchman of our building was on vacation. I wasn't going to fight that man again, so I decided to rush to my girlfriend's house. When I got there, she was home alone. She looked worried because I was looking pale, and there were still some marks of the man's blood on my clothes. I explained everything to her, and we called the police to come by my building. And when they arrived, the man was still in the entrance trying to force the doors unsuccessfully. When he saw the police, he attacked them, but got quickly dominated by the cops. They explained that he was probably a crazy psycho in the streets looking for prey to rape, kill, or do anything he wanted to the person. So they sent him to a high-security mental asylum for criminals, far away from my house. I feel so lucky that I survived that day, and I'm hoping that I will never see that man again.
Okay, this is some creepy stuff. Is this real? This is why. Wait, my head is hurting. Like really, like. What happened? This is some creepy stuff. Like, why? Okay, the dude was standing there with his hat there, okay? Then he got attacked. All of a sudden, he had a knife, he got attacked. But why in the hell would that dude, if he is a psychopath, most psychopaths are actually kind of slick, you know? Why would he standing in front of his door getting arrested? A niece of mine had a neighbor who was schizophrenic, and he woke up one night from her neighbor hanging over her with a kitchen knife. Wait, so it can't be true? Hell to the no. Oh God, that is some creepy stuff. You know, I'm always home alone here. And it's a small apartment. When somebody comes in here, I cannot go run anywhere. I'm so scared. Oh, it looks scary. Let me go there. Exactly. It should be like literally. Oh God. Just no. If I see something scary, I will walk away. You know what is the true story about mine? That this is no lie, okay? I'm gonna tell you something. One day, I went to my cousin's house like in the morning, really early in the morning, because my dad thought I was at school and I wasn't at school. So I went to my cousin's house, and she lived like far away, so I had to walk like 15 minutes or so, 1 hour, because I was broke. I couldn't take the tram. So I walked. There was like, you had those kind of like paths, and then you had the rivers, right? And you had those bridges under there. So all of a sudden, I didn't know you could like go straight ahead or turn left. So what I did was go straight ahead. I thought it was easier. So I went straight ahead, and there was this bridge. And under the bridge, there was this dude grabbing a guy, holding a gun against his head. And I was just like, holy hell, I'm at the wrong place, the wrong time. So I seen it from like far away, and there was this place when those guys were there with like how do you say, pushing a car, because it was like a car like trashed down or whatever it was. So I was running like crazy towards those guys, and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna say anything. I'm just gonna walk past it. I'm not gonna say anything. And the next day, I checked out the news, and they searched for a guy, the same similar guy that I've seen. They searched for him, and he was gone. Creepy story, but it really happened to me. So those kind of stories can happen, but you're really at the wrong time, the wrong place. You need to keep a basketball bat next to your place. It can happen. It can happen though. I'm happy that I didn't go straight. Like, I could also walk past them, but I was like, maybe he's gonna point his gun to me and like, hey, you need to stand still. And I was like, okay. So no. So everybody's like quiet now. The quiet stories. Dang. Okay, we're going to the next one. We're almost there, guys. To the last few of them. I'm not gonna sleep tonight. I'm seriously not gonna sleep tonight. I thought the one with the woman was the creepiest ever. I'm not gonna sleep because of it. I really don't. So let's go.
When I was 10 or 11, my cousin and aunt visited us. We had fun throughout the day, and my aunt and cousin decided to sleep at my other aunt's house before leaving early in the morning. After such a fun day, I insisted upon sleeping at my aunt's house too, so I could spend more time with everyone. Later that night, we all fell asleep in the guest room, the only room that was available for us. I woke up suddenly at 5 a.m. I heard my mom and other aunt talking, so I was definitely awake. I saw that my cousin and aunt's things weren't there anymore, so I assumed they'd already left. I was about to fall back asleep. I looked at my left and saw someone sleeping beside me. I was about to hug her, thinking it was my 21-year-old girl cousin. But then I saw her face.
No, she's
wasn't my cousin
smiling.
at
Why is
all.
everybody
She
smiling?
was someone I didn't know. But she looked about the age of my cousin. She wore pajamas and a black shirt, and all I could do was stare at her. She started doing strange things, like stretching her legs up and down, and just focusing on the ceiling. It was all so odd. But feeling tired, I eventually drifted off to sleep like nothing had happened. I woke up at 8 a.m., looking at my left, and she was gone. I told everything to my mom and every family member in the house, but no one knew what I had experienced or who the girl was.
No.
My dad told me that my third eye was starting to see more, but I didn't really believe that. I'm turning 13 now, and that experience still remains a mystery to me. It never happened to me again, and hopefully it won't.
Hi, my name is...
Okay, this is the last one, guys. After this. Okay, that was creepy though. I'm done. Why would you stare at somebody like that? If I see something like that, I will run run like crazy. If I feel like somebody's sleeping next to me, there's nobody next to me, I'm done. I'm gonna leave. Why is somebody there? Like, but sometimes when you're in shock, you're gonna sit there and stare, right? I hope I'm not gonna be that person, I swear. No, please, more. Jake! We're gonna have some more. Give me a second, though. We're just talking about it a bit. We did already a lot. A lot of them. This is more than enough today. Thank you so much for the 30 bits, though. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. How about happy video? That sounds better, yeah. Why would you stay in that room? Exactly. Why? Also the thing is, how can you sleep for years there? I won't even sleep there anymore. I won't even go in that room anymore. Like, what is their problem? As soon as she change, run. I know, right? But some people are like in shock and they cannot move. You know, some people have that. They cannot move. They are so in shock that they cannot move at all. It's really, really weird. Like, some people have that. So, and then you're screwed for life. For life, you're screwed. Like, you're damaged for life. Literally, every time you sleep, you think about it. Hell no. Okay, let's go. This is the last one, I think. There's one or two more. No, this is the last one. Yeah, I think so. Let's go.
This is a deal, and this is a true story. The police have finished this case, and the man is in prison now. I was 14 at the time this took place. I was in a school and sitting in a history lesson that was so boring. My friend Noel, who was sitting opposite me, said I could come over on Saturday, as his parents were not going to be there because they were going on a weekend away. That meant we could stay up as long as we wanted. This was not uncommon, as we both invited each other to stay at one another's house, and I thought we were going to have a great time.
Sleepovers!
Saturday came and I was so ready. I packed my essentials like my toothbrush, my new game, and my pepper spray. My parents always made me carry it, and I didn't mind because it made me feel safe too. I went on my way, and 30 minutes later, after walking, arrived to Noel's house. As he opened the door, he looked a little tense and shifty.
Why
I walked
does
in and locked the door
creepy?
after me, to which he became even more anxious. I asked him if everything was all right, and he said it was. Not trying to put it down on the evening, I asked him if we could play the new game I bought. He wasn't really interested, but said yes anyway. After 30 minutes of watching him not playing, and just holding the controller in his hand, I switched off the TV and asked him what was going on. To which he replied, "I need your help." I asked him what he needed my help for. He told me that this man who added him on Facebook was actually stalking him in real life, and as to how he wanted to meet Noel. He warned him that if he told his parents, he would kill them. So Noel, being the stupid idiot, he told him to come at 8 p.m., 5 minutes from now. He was scared, so he asked me to come to this meeting to get rid of him, and that if he had told me at school, I never would have agreed to come.
Why would you do that?
He was right. I felt betrayed that he brought me here under false pretenses. I was also angry at his stupidity of him giving his address away as well. However, I had no time to argue. I was just glad he told me about this guy. I grabbed my pepper spray and just sat there on the couch. The doorbell rang at 8 p.m.
Oh my god.
I just sat there hoping he would leave after a little bit. However, then I started to hear scratching and realized he was breaking in with some sort of tool. I quickly ran into the kitchen with Noel and we heard the door lock get broken, and someone kicked the door in. The lights were on and we were hiding behind the large fridge. The man, in a deep voice, shouted, "Noel!" We didn't reply. And then he shouted, "Noel, where the heck are you? I'm going to kill
he
you."
thinks we're playing freaking hide and seek.
I had a plan.
He wants to
At
kill
this
him?
point, I pushed Noel out from behind the fridge. Noel started going back, and the man was walking forward, chuckling. As soon as he came near the distance of the fridge, I shot out and sprayed pepper spray in his eyes. He screamed in pain and then started swinging the screwdriver in his hand. I grabbed the screwdriver and picked up a pan laying there and hit him on the head. Blacked out.
Hey! I love this
He was
kid.
dressed in a smart suit and was clean shaven. We called the police and later found out that he was a man who was being monitored because there were several complaints of stalking and threatening behavior. They also found many tools in a bag he left near the door that would dismember a body. Thankfully, this sicko didn't kill anyone. However, I'm now happy that Noel called me because I dread to think what would have happened if I wasn't there.
I'm done. Okay, guys, this was the last one. My head is hurting from this all. Holy. It's just because it's so animated, it doesn't... Like, at the first time, I thought it was creepy. Like, the way they do this, the way they just talk about the story, it seems really creepy. But now because you've seen so many stories, it's not that creepy anymore. It's more like a psycho kind of creepiness. I don't know what to think about it. After a while, it's too much psycho stuff. It's not anymore about a ghost. You know, it's more about, like, surviving. And it's still creepy, though. Don't get me wrong. It's still creepy. But it doesn't is any more creepier when the whole story is, like, kind of the same, right? Or is it just me thinking that? It's crazy. But did you guys actually enjoy the stories? It was actually nice doing this. I need to do this much more, like reacting on stuff, just watching some stories. Like, this shouldn't be horror stories or anything, but it can be about anything, to be honest.